let's get in the zone. Voices blend and smooth like a funky trombone. Oh yeah. Topics from the heart, making us think. With a twist and a shout, raise up your drink. Cheers! Hang out, all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Bring it down, shake it up, feel the beat. With every word we share, the circle's complete. Living loud, think it proud, that's what we do. Oh yeah. Join the club, come on through, we're waiting for you. Alright. Hang out, all night long, all night. Laughing and debating, playing our song. Oh yeah. Share your thoughts, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Operation Hangout, let's reach for the sky. Let's fly. Hang out.
What is going on, everybody? We're back at another show, another stream. You know where we're at. You're at Spartan HQ Network. I am your host, the Spartan, aka Peter. How is everybody doing tonight? Tonight, I got a feeling this might be a little bit of an argument because everybody has their own opinions. Which one is the best family show ever made? Is it Friends Prince, Home Improvement, Boy Meets World, I Love Lucy? Trying to think of something off my head. Everybody loves Raymond. There's so many. But before I get ahead of myself, let's get this guy in here. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our president. Mr. President, how are we doing tonight?
A little tired. and, as usual, Saturdays are pretty busy. I worked out pretty late today. I had a lot of stuff to do early in the day. So I went and got my workout in not too long ago. So I'm kind of recovering from that. And also, I have my new gadget. I don't know if you saw my Facebook. I
I
created a
briefly looked at it, actually.
DIY tool. So I sort of did that. So I'm sort of passing that around, getting some feedback from it, and worked pretty well. I really really felt the effects of it. I'm going to be over the next couple of days. I'll show some videos of just me working out with it from today's workout. But I used it definitely on the straight arm lat pull down and on the tricep press downs, and it worked very well. And so definitely, hopefully, I saved myself $80 because that's how much the professional attachment. That's how much that costs. But just in looking at it, I was thinking, I think I can make that. So, so I gave it a shot, and so over the last couple of days, I fasted.
It's funny you mentioned that
Yeah.
because on Friday night, me and my one of my customers were having a conversation about workout equipment, and he has a couple benches, a couple weights, but I even told him like most of the stuff you can build yourself for half the price, even less.
Yeah,
Little pulleys, little wires, and bada bing, bada boom. There you got your
yeah,
workout equipment.
absolutely. And because I've seen people, I know some friends of mine, they went all out, spending like 10K on a cage with the cable systems and things like that inside. So you can definitely go ham on spinning outside the box for that. But if you like you said, if you do things right, or do some research, or just watch some YouTube. I've seen like racks made out of wood. I've seen people fashion stuff, or like I know I got a local welder who, if I need something done, he'll go and he'll fashion something for me. He built my cage that I use now for like $400.
No, it's nothing.
So Yeah, and he used like the high end steel because that was the thing. I saw some cheaper ones like $300-$400 racks, but the steel is like 16 gauge steel. So I said I wanted something like 10 gauge, like I wanted something like really sturdy. And so he was able to get some 10 gauge steel
Mhm.
and build it out and whatnot. So it was pretty sturdy. So yeah, so even if you can get a local welder, you can get a lot of things done in a and save a lot of money in doing so. So that's also an
Absolutely.
alternative if you know somebody, a fabricator.
Yeah. So let's just not go ahead and
A new subscriber.
oops.
No, no, please don't do it. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. Let's just carry on with the show.
You gotta do it. It's tradition. Greg, what's going on, my man?
Just woken up. Big up,
All right.
Paul. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. I'm good. What time is it in your time now?
25 to 3 in the morning.
Oh my gosh. So every show we be doing is 3 in the morning for you, man.
He's a
That's
trooper. But
dedication. We appreciate it though.
yeah,
You doing
I do. But before we start the show, I actually have some breaking news. This came to my attention today. A lot of us from the show are Dragon Ball Z fans, Dragon Ball fans, Dragon or whatever. The franchise. The monitor, his name was Carlos, and I apologize, I'm gonna butcher it. Becrucci. He actually passed away yesterday. Uh, is it yesterday? Yes, yesterday. Um, he was 94, I believe. He was born in 85. So he ended up passing away. We lost a good legend. His voice is iconic with Dragon Ball Z. Anytime you hear a Dragon Ball Z opening and closing, you heard his voice. So
so
he
is this is the Americanized version of it, right? This isn't the Japanese.
the American version I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is a hard day for a lot of Dragon Ball Z fans because he was a iconic member of the Dragon Ball Z team because he was the one who always opened up. He has done some other stuff like Next Generation, Star Trek. So, let me see what else he has here on his IBB. He did Ghosts. He has done a lot of work over the years, and it is sad to see him go because again, he was the iconic voice of Dragon Ball Z. Um, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he died at the age. Oh, I've been corrected. 1992, 90. He died from. I didn't look into reasons of his death, but 90 is a long time to be rocking and rolling, I believe.
Mhm.
So I think for me and from the team of Spartan Skill, we are sending the loves and thoughts to his family of this moment they're grieving, of course. Anything you guys want to say before we move on to the show?
Yeah, just condolences, certainly for anyone who passes, certain condolences. But again, I'm not familiar with the franchise, so I can't speak too much to the
Yeah.
fan base. But just like any other fan base, it's like every day there's some story coming out of some iconic actor or someone who's passing on, especially if you're Gen X. You got to understand, growing up, a lot of these guys were in our 50s and 60s now. Now these guys are in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. So you're going to see more people like we just saw a lot from an American perspective. One of the Croft brothers. So if you're familiar with Sid and Marty Croft, they did a series of Saturday morning cartoon shows through the 70s and 80s. And one of the founders of that, he passed on. If probably their most famous, if you ever watched Land of the Lost, that TV series from the 70s, they were big behind that. And so again, one of the founders died, but again, the guy was probably like in his 90s. So again, you're
So
gonna see more of these folks, passing.
the original series started in
70.
1986 to 1989. So it
What
was
original series?
Dragon Ball.
Okay.
So it's iconic for a lot of people. Then Z came out in 95 to 96, and it has other series after that, of course. And Dragon Ball is one of those series like you get hooked on it or you don't like it. There's no middle ground with it. If you're hooked on it, remember when we went first to Comic Con together? We jumped on the flying cloud,
Yeah.
Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
If you remember, and the thing that shoot air up on us, it was like a super shading. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, that was Dragon Ball. And I remember I was joking the big go to. I was joking with you. I hope he doesn't fart on us as we're walking underneath
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That was Dragon Ball,
Right.
Dragon Ball Z, and all the other series. So little familiar with that now.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's enough sad news for today. Do you guys think so?
Yeah, well, look, it's just a real fact of life. You know,
Yeah,
you hate to go
unfortunately,
with
as
the
a
bad.
network, we have to
You hate to
report.
go with the bad. Yep.
Yeah, but the best family TV show. That is a debate, I think, tonight because it could be either way. It could be Malcolm in the Middle. It could be Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Cosby Show, Roseanne. Ugh, not Roseanne. I hated that show so bad.
Hey, that was brilliant. That show.
Mhm.
You're on crack then. That's my personal
No,
opinion.
No, get it right. I'm all
I would agree with him. I would agree with him. Low key, and I'm not talking about the remake when Roseanne, she kind of went off the farm a bit with her comments, but the original show premise or whatnot, I thought it was one of the most realistic shows ever because it was one of the first shows that I can remember where they showed basically, and again, not to be insulting at all, but when you talk about trailer park or when you talk about lower middle class family, working family, that was one of the few shows that I can remember that showed a family in that light. Everybody else, especially all those shows from the 80s and 90s, all of those shows were kind of upper middle class families living in the suburbs. Charles in Charge, if you what was the Connors, not the Connors, the Charles in Charge, what was the Growing Pains, all of those shows, Who's the Boss, they were all kind of upper middle class. But I think Roseanne really broke the mold in that you saw how I would say most Americans live, white Americans anyway. So I think it really shed a light on that. But if you look at any other show throughout, and I'm going back to the 70s, Maude and All in the Family. Now they might have been maybe a little bit more higher up than the Connors, but not much. But still, I think the Connors really showed you, families with like real issues and real problems. And so I really appreciated Roseanne for its realism back then and showing another half and being unabashed about it because I see these people every day, especially when I travel. I see these people all the time. And that was the first show that ever gave those guys any kind of audience. So I
You
really
know what it is,
appreciate it.
bro? I think it is personal to me. I did not like Roseanne as an actor.
Understood.
It's like that. But realistically, I remember watching clips on her show as I'm an adult now, and I remember the one that her sister got beat up. I believe was it? Her
Mhm.
husband beat the crap out of her.
Yeah.
Her
Yes,
husband,
I remember that one.
grabbed his coat very quietly, and they talked with their fists. And next minute, you know, the cops stopped knocking on the door. He got arrested, and he goes, "Just let him do the jobs. I'm going in. I did what I did. I'm taking the punishment, but I don't regret what I did." And I gotta give him credit. They some realistic thing. They even talked about sex, drug use, alcoholism, all those stuff. And you gotta
Yeah.
give them credit on that.
Yeah. No.
Versus like Full House, for example. That was like really hyped up.
Yeah, it was like upper, like I said, upper middle class kind of
Right.
families with mobility and things of that nature. But no one was ever shown as being like outright poor.
except the one show, what was it called? Boy Meets World. They weren't upper class. They were more middle and lower class because you saw his best friend living in a trailer park dealing with the. I'm not talking about like a
Well,
good trailer park.
Right. I'm saying, but he's an ancillary character. He's a piece of the show, but he's not the show. He's
But
not
he
the
was one
center
of the
of
main
the
characters, Paul.
but he wasn't the center of the show.
Okay.
I'm saying the Connors, that was the show. Roseanne, it was her family. They were front and center.
Mhm.
And so, and everybody in the show, they would like, you didn't find any kind of people of affluence on the show. So that's what I'm saying. So it really, brought that into view in a way that I don't think was ever shown on another TV sitcom that I can remember. So again, for that reason, I would have to put it pretty up there. And I'm not saying it was my favorite show, but I'm just saying you couldn't help but watch it because, again, it opened up your eyes
Yeah.
to another side of the world that was prior to that people did not want to be seen on television. All the white sitcoms or family shows, Family Matters, or what's that? Family Ties. I'm sorry, not Family Ties. those type of shows again, kind of upper crustic type of families. They weren't, and even though that show dealt with a lot of issues as well, but from an income point of view, you didn't see people struggling the way the Connors did.
Good point. I'll give you that. And I am really surprised your one of your favorite shows wasn't what's it called it Family Matters, to be honest with you, because to me it was one of my favorite shows back in the day. Family Matters was like the top of the line, and even Full House was a good show. Hey, what's going on, my man? Even Family Full House was a good show. I loved it, but it wasn't to me grounded, like you said.
Mhm.
It was more hyped up into the future, like not the future, upper class. Her father was a talk show person, and
Yeah.
I don't know what else they make, but I'm pretty sure that they're not struggling like me and
Well,
you are.
you can just look at the house itself, right? At least the
That's a good point.
sets were
Yeah.
huge. That's another thing. Go to the Connors house again. Going back to the house was a dump. I mean, it wasn't well kept. It wasn't, it wasn't anything
They were
that was like
struggling.
desirable to live in. It was just a house. It was just a lower middle class type of household. You know what I mean? It wasn't, like I said, there was no pretense to it. So like I said, I really think that show, the more I think about it, I really think that the guy is there. Yeah, we look, what can I say? We're talking about shows that we grew up on or what have you. So I'm an older dude. So yeah, I'm talking about shows 30 years ago. So what do you like, sir? What's in the because to be honest, I don't watch a lot of television, live TV at all. So I don't even know in terms of like the modern shows that are on. I rarely watch any live television. Live sports I'll watch or live events, but I rarely watch any kind of live TV. So I don't know what's on. I think Modern Family was probably one of the few shows that I kind of know of that's running today, but I don't know what's on. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about what I grew up on or what was favorable to me. So what can I tell you?
The only other show that showed them they were struggling, but it was the storyline was comedic. It wasn't serious ever. It was Married with Children, and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the family. This you saw there had like same thing. The house was a dump and all that stuff, but
Not like the Connors. It
no, no,
it
no. I'm
was a
not saying nowhere near
yeah.
as the Connors.
Right,
But what
right.
my point is trying to get to is that show didn't show anything serious. It's all about
Which was
com-
weird to me because the show it almost like it's more satire because it didn't make sense. Al was a shoe salesman, and the wife didn't work at all. So how are you going to have this How are you going to have this house? Where's the money coming from? Because she didn't work. She didn't lift it down to do anything. And so how was he being a salesman in a shoe store? Not that he owned a shoe store. He was a salesman in a shoe store. How was he able to do what he was able to do on such a paltry income? I have no idea. So even then you kind of knew it was kind of, it wasn't meant to be in any kind of realm of reality because it's like, you can't have that. And how she was able to go and spend all that money buying beauty products and makeup and all that kind of stuff to be, who she was. Where's the money coming from? So, so I never took
the
Married with
only
Children seriously. Though.
only other show I wouldn't consider as a family show that was close to the Connors. That showed real life situations, trauma, alcoholism, problems was Rescue Me. Again, it was not a family show.
Mhm.
The Gavins, I believe the name was of the main family, showed after the 9/11 what how a firefighter reacts, and his cousin was a firefighter who passed, who he's still seen as a ghost in his real life because
Mhm.
of the trauma. He didn't realize he had a trauma. Plus he's struggling with being an alcoholic. He's struggling with a really bad divorce with his kids and his wife and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And during the show his kid actually ended up get hit by a car and dying on him. And this is every time he thinks he's getting ahead in life, he gets hit with another thing. Like, man, he takes 20 steps back. So struggling wise, I think Rescue Me also hit it really well, to be honest with you, Paul.
Right.
But again, it's not a family show. No near as a family show.
Right.
I don't know if you ever seen that show personally.
Now I've heard of it, but I don't think I watched too many episodes of it. No.
Yeah. The What are your top shows, Paul? If you had to pick 5,
If I had to pick 5
okay, pick 10.
family, 5 family shows, like I said, I'm gonna I'm gonna show my age. So again, Apex Chris Hansen. I'm gonna show my age here. Probably near the top of the list is the Brady Bunch. I think that was a revolutionary show of the time because again, it dealt with the idea a divorced couple. This is back in this day when you talk about family values. You got two divorcees, and it was probably inspired by this movie that came out. I think Lucille Ball and I think this guy Fred MacArthur. There was this movie, His, Mine, and Ours. I think that was like the show. I think it might have been inspired by that. It was a movie that came out in the '60s, and so here you got two divorcees who have a blended family. That was not common for the '60s because the show came out in '69. So I mean that was definitely ahead of its time, showing a blended family, and that how that whole operation worked. So Brady Bunch is certainly one of my faves growing up. How a family can blend like that. So again, shout out to them. Cosby Show is obviously up there as far as best shows. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is up there. The Jeffersons is up there. Good Times is up there. Rock, that's number 6. I love Rock. Back in the day, that was one of my certainly one of my favorites. I did like Family Ties because again, some of the subjects and the issues that they dealt with at the family. I'll probably put Family Matters in there, but so it's like the bottom half of the list. I think that's 8. And then if I had a couple more that I got into, that I mentioned, I think Good Times. I should have
Yeah, you
mentioned
did mention
Good,
Good Times.
Good Times definitely. That's one of my top 5. As far as other family shows, I gave you 8. If I had 2 more,
I said 5, but you want to do 10. It's up to you.
yeah, I would say that's those shows are kind of like in my top. Excuse me, those are probably in my top 8. Oh, I would say Different Strokes from the '80s. That
That
was
was,
definitely one of my favorite shows
I
coming
think
up.
that
Yeah,
was very evolutionized for the time.
yeah, yeah. Different Strokes. That's 9. I'll probably think of one more before it's over. It might be Silver Spoons. I think that was a show
I don't remember that
that,
one.
that I used to watch a lot. That was yeah, that was back in the day. But yeah, I mean, I would say that's a good kind of listing of the family centered shows that I remember watching on a regular basis through the '60s, '70s, '80s, maybe into the early '90s. But yeah, I would say that rounds out the list.
Before you move on, I want to ask you a question because during in my research, they're putting I Love Lucy as a family show. Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
Okay, that's why I
yeah,
want to make sure. Um,
yeah.
good idea. You're up, man. Yeah, turn your mic up. It would help.
Yeah, I know.
All right, top
um,
5 or top 10, whatever you want to do.
top 5. Does that go for UK and
Yes.
US as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. If
My
it's on
Family.
TV, that's as long as it was on TV at some point.
Yeah, it was a
You can
TV
pick
show and it aired like once or twice a week. One was called My Family. Another one was called My Hero. Roseanne. Personally, I thought Knight Rider was a family movie, a TV show.
No,
No?
Yeah.
Oh.
no.
I haven't got any more than that, to be honest with you.
I
Oh,
may
yeah.
add Roseanne to the top 10. Then, yeah, you can slide Roseanne into that top 10. and
Yeah.
that'll
Also,
complete the
another one
list.
that you mentioned was Fresh Prince was one of my favorites.
Yeah,
Yeah, my
Um,
personal was number 1 was always Boy Meets World because I can relate with a lot of stories because it was closer to my age group at the moment when it aired.
What was that one where they were on a farm and it was based like 1980?
Little Perry,
That's the
Little
one.
Perry.
Little House
Yeah.
on Prairie.
Yeah,
yeah.
That was one of my favorites.
We said we're not limited to sitcoms, or we because that was more a drama more so than
yeah. I was gonna
than-
say I don't think that considers that as a family show. Am I
Well,
wrong?
it's definitely a family show. It's just it's a lot more serious. In fact, every show, I don't think more times than not, there wasn't a lot of humor in the show at all. I mean, you'd have bits and pieces here and there, but it was basically about a a family struggling, trying to make it, and things of that nature. But there were a lot of tear jerkers in that show growing up. I watched that show religiously growing up, and but certainly, and it was primarily based on real life. Laura Ingalls was apparently a real person, and it was basically her family stories that got turned into a TV show back in the day. But it was definitely there was a lot of struggle. It was almost like, and it was weird because it was almost like as soon as you thought they were going to get ahead, something happened
I
that
haven't
kind of
seen it,
set
Bo, to
them
be
back a
honest with
little
you.
bit.
To
Yeah,
be
but
honest with
yeah,
all you guys, I haven't
yeah,
seen it. But what I've heard about the show, it's one of the tops up there, one of the best
yeah,
shows you
and it
can
ran
watch.
for a long time. I mean, it ran at
And that's
least
a black
eight.
and white show, isn't it?
No, no, it was a 70s show. It was
Okay.
definitely it started out, I think, as a movie. I think it started as a movie first, and then it got picked up and turned into a TV series. But that was
I was,
also back,
you know
yeah.
which one I thought was gonna be a family show, but I was completely wrong. It's not even on the list. Lassie. If you remember that show, Lassie.
Yes,
Yeah,
that was a brilliant show.
yeah,
It was a great show. I grew up on it. I remember growing
mm,
up before I had a dog. I wanted Lassie. I wanted that dog in my house.
yeah,
Who didn't want Lassie? Had a dog, and I knew a few people who had it. I'm like, and I used to go up to. I remember who had the breed. I go, oh, hi Lassie. Like, no,
yeah, the
that was
collie
his name.
breed, yeah, yeah,
It's a beautiful dog. Don't get me wrong.
I
So
did
yeah.
my
that. I
it's
did
also
that.
a boy meets world. Second, and I had to process a little bit because I had it a different way in my head. Boy meets world. I probably would say second is Home Improvement. After Home
Yeah.
Improvement, I will put up Family Matters is number 3. Bel-Air, Full House is number 5. This one I'm kind of debating back and forth with me because how I don't know exact words. It was pushed a lot of other stuff into the show, but Seven Heaven was another one. But I felt it was pushed a lot of high class kind of family more than anything. I felt in a way.
Well, it was definitely, like I said, it was a family drama. Like if you want to add the dramas to it, yeah, because I think the main guy, I think he was a minister. He
Yes,
was a
he was
pastor of a
priest or
church or something
minister.
like that, and then it was just and I think he might have been a widower also. And
No,
so
no, he was married.
he was okay.
Yeah,
But that dealt with more. It was less comedic in terms of its presentation. But if you're gonna add those, then yeah, I mean that was certainly you had a lot of shows that kind of had that kind of. I mean, probably if you want to say like probably the biggest one ever that everybody when it was out was just nuts. Was This Is Us.
I
That
don't
was
know.
yeah, that was a very popular show maybe 7 years ago. I mean, it was like, and it won like everything, all the awards. It was like a highly rated, probably one of the top ranked dramas because, like I said, it wasn't a sitcom. But This Is Us is certainly in terms of a family drama show. It was up there, and it was weird how it was done because they did it like through a series of flashbacks. So
Mhm.
you'd be in present day. They go back in the day to when the husband and wife first met and whatnot, and they would play these sort of time sequences, kind of leading up to the current day and stuff. So they went back and forth through time through a lot of different situations. But I know a lot of people that I know love that show and watched it religiously every week.
So the next one will be I Love Lucy. I mentioned that already. I know I did. I'm sorry. We mentioned it earlier. I'm sorry. I Love Lucy. What's with another one I had? This one I'm surprised you didn't mention. Family. Oh man, it was based in the '70s. One of your favorite shows. Family Matters. No, not Family Matters. What was it called? Man, I can't
All in
remember.
the Family. All in
No,
the Family.
no, it's not called All in the Family. It was based. They did a remake originally with it was original was with white folks and remake was with black folks. Um,
Oh, Wonder Years.
thank you. Wonder Years is number
Yeah,
8
that
for
was
me.
pretty good. No, that was pretty good. That was a decent show back
I
in the
used
day,
to watch
especially
that growing up.
yeah, especially the time period, the late '60s, early '70s. So yeah, that one had legs. And like I said, the show that was made after this, the remake was made with black people.
Correct.
Very relatable because again, you grew up in that time. So the hairstyles, the clothing, the music, yeah, everything about that show was very relatable. I don't think I watched certainly a ton of episodes though, because like I said, barely have time to watch any kind of current TV shows or what have you. But from the episodes that I saw, I was like, yeah, this is probably a good show. So I would, but as far as the ones that I actually patronized, like and watched every week or have the most familiarity with, it just didn't make the list. But yeah, definitely Wonder Years, both the old as well as the new ones, was was definitely there. So Braxton's listing all the 70 shows. I mentioned most of these. I didn't mention What's Happening. I didn't look at that one as a family show, even though there were families in it. I didn't mention What's Happening. That's My Mama. I remember that show, but it was so short lived. Like it didn't last very long. But the other shows that you mentioned, Amen. I didn't mention Amen, but again, that one I looked at less of a family show as more of a sort of a situational type of thing. But but yeah, I can understand why you would put it there. But all the other ones, yeah, Good Times or whatnot. Sanford and Son, I didn't mention. It's weird. I didn't mention. You could say that Sanford and Son was a family show, but they were so dysfunctional. It's kind of hard to call them a family show. So I would say Fred Sanford and Lamont. I mean, it was like if that's how a father-son relationship is, I was like, I want no part of it. So maybe I was traumatized from watching that show because that whole family dynamic was just that was hard to watch. So so I mean, so I yeah, family sitcoms or whatever. Yeah, I want a little bit more well-rounded, but yeah, that was as dysfunctional as it got.
Which show was it that he hated his son-in-law with a passion? I can't remember the name of the show off my head right now, and stuff like that. But before we move on, let's bring this guy in here because he's been patiently in the back. So let's get my man in here. Anton, what's going on, my man?
What's going on, Peter? Hey, Paul.
Was good. Was good.
Big up, Peter.
Braxton's putting all these shows out. He wasn't even born when these shows were out.
No.
That's the fun. That's the funny thing about it. You weren't even a sperm when these shows were out. So I'm like, how does he know all these shows? He's just been rattling them off. When you mentioned That's My Mama, I'm like, how did you even know that show? That was 50 years ago. I didn't even know that show.
Nick at
That is so
Night.
funny.
That's Nick at Night and BET.
Oh, I love Nick at Night when it was on. That was my shit back in the day.
Yeah. Yes.
That's funny to me though.
Oh man. Family shows. I think the show you're talking about is All in the Family, where the father didn't like the son-in-law. That was Carol O'Connor and Rob Reiner.
Was it All in the Family?
That was All in the Family. I think that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically,
that show was big. That show was and
9 seasons did.
The crazy thing about the show is I can't tell how many black people, like if you were a baby boomer,
yeah,
every black person I know watched that show every single week. Even though he was a bit of a bigot and all that kind of stuff, but still but they made him like a buffoon. So I think that's what kept people watching the show every week because of his buffoonery. But yeah, I mean that's a show that I don't think you can make that show today. Put it that way. There's no way with today's sensibilities that show could be on air. But yeah, but definitely that was a very popular show, long running show. You could make a case that definitely belongs up there in the family sitcom genre. And I could probably make a case if I swapped a show out just based on the list that I gave you. I could probably swap a show out and put another show in that covers that. So it was it was a
Two
very
fun
popular show.
facts about that show. Number one, one is not that fun fact. More serious facts, I should say. Both of them. The one is most of those characters who are on the shows, only one living member still around. Most of them have passed away. Second fact is the way they ended the show. I think it was one of the best endings you can see in the show. He's literally playing a piano, crying. His wife has passed away,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very emotional.
Oh yeah. I remember the part where he went into their bedroom and he found a slipper and he was just lamenting. Yeah, again, you don't have a soul if you didn't feel for him as much of a buffoon that he was. At that point, you knew how much Edith meant to him, and yeah, that was tough TV back then. And the crazy thing that got you was it was like silent, like a lot of those scenes like that, they play nothing. It's just all you're hearing is like the hum of the TV.
Oh, you didn't.
But it's like this deadening silence as they're acting this stuff out, and it's just like, wow. You know, I mean, it really, it really moved you in a lot of ways. So yeah, that was they would definitely take you. There's All in the Family. Yeah, that's a show that's up there as well.
You got to, and what most people didn't realize, All in the Family helped start also the Jeffersons. People didn't realize.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
the spinoff. Actually, 2 shows: Jeffersons and Maude.
Oh, that's right. I remember hearing about Maude. Now,
Yeah.
B. Arthur.
Yeah, because she was like, I don't know if she was an in-law or something like that, or related to Archie somehow, or whatever. But yeah, Norman Lear was just crunk. And then for Maude, it was Good Times because Florida was a maid, I think, for Maude. Yeah, so
right.
Norman Lear, he was just domino. He was just knocking those shows out back in the day.
Norman Lear, and you got to give him credit because he found a way to talk about real issues at that time in the 70s, into the 80s too. Like, he was not afraid to address them. He was not afraid to push the envelope. And he felt like the only way you're going to address what's going on is putting it on television and being unapologetic about it. Good Times, Maude, the Jeffersons, All in the Family. He was not afraid to make people think about, how would you respond if you were in that type of situation? What would you do if you were in that type of situation? How would you feel if someone you knew was in that situation? And that's the thing most people didn't know. Another person that also worked on the Jeffersons that worked as a producer, Cy Kravitz, Lenny Kravitz's father. Because his mother was Roxy Roker.
Roxy Roker, yep.
And a lot of people didn't, and that was, I mean, when Norman Lear asked her, are you okay? Your character being married to a white man, she was like, I'm already married to a white man. Back then, that was a big deal, and people forget how big that situation was. Perfect example, Loving versus Virginia. That was a big case at that time, back in the 60s.
67. We talked about that on our last grade area show on interracial marriage.
And
we brought that up.
And the thing most people did not know, because of Loving versus Virginia, a lot of states passed laws on making interracial marriage illegal. And if I remember, the last state to legalize interracial marriage was Alabama. And I think that was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And that passed with a vote of 91%. So it really, Norman Lear, you got to give him credit. He was never afraid to push the envelope. He was never afraid to get people to think about, these are actual people that live in situations like this. You may think, okay, TV, that doesn't really happen. No. He's showing a reflection of what was going on. And he was not afraid to say it. And I remember John Amos, when he mentioned in an interview, when he was tired of what was going on with Good Times, him and Norman Lear had a discussion, and Norman was like, okay. And the one thing that John Amos said was, don't make James leave the family, because he felt like that goes on too much in our culture, in my culture. So if you saw the episode, and I think that was the season finale, it was the episode where the family is supposed to be moving, I think down south.
Yeah.
In Chicago. Thank you, sweetheart. Yeah, my wife was telling me in the background. Yeah. And she gets the telegram and finds out that he sadly lost his life in an accident.
Yeah.
So, to basically take his character off like that was like, whoa. But Norman Lear, went along with his request. He made sure James Evans didn't leave Florida and the kids.
Let me ask you guys a question, and this is between more for you, Paul and Anton. And this comes go with your culture a little bit. The show, and I do apologize if I butcher wrong. I haven't seen it because I don't watch live TV anymore or anything like that. I've been having I cut the cable a long time ago. The show called Blackish.
Yeah.
Good show, bad show, or you telling me, Pete, go fuck off?
Honestly, I didn't watch. I watched some of it. I can't say I love it, although I know a lot of people who did. But like I said, I was so disconnected from just watching weekly serial shows. I catch a show here and there, but I didn't get all into it the way other people did. But from what I understand, that and then the spinoff show off of that, there was 2 spinoff shows. There was Grownish, and then there was the show that went back in time to the 70s to the wife in terms of how she grew up. I forget what they call that show.
It was called Mixed Dish.
Mixed Dish, yeah. So that had a couple spinoffs also, but it was definitely a popular show. Like I said, I just didn't get like totally into it because I just wasn't watching a lot of prime time or network TV. So I didn't embrace it.
I didn't watch it on the regular because for a period of time I was working overnight. But when I did get a chance to catch it, it was pretty powerful. Like it was definitely a dramedy, a blend of a drama and a comedy. It had its funny moments, but it also had its serious moments too. And Anthony Anderson, Tracy Ellen Ross, Lawrence Fishburne, you had a great cast. And what it did was, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Blackish. And the thing is, what the show did was, here you have Anthony Anderson and you have Tracy Ellen Ross, both of them very successful in their careers, very accomplished, very successful, living in a very nice part of Los Angeles, and it talked about, yeah, they're successful, but can you really say they forgot where they came from? And that's always been one of the challenges. Can you ever, go back to where you came from? Do you ever really leave where you came from? And it really asks those questions. And I remember in an episode of Mixed Dish, when I first got a chance to catch it, Bo and her siblings were always struggling with their identity. They always struggled. Who am I? Because, and Paul knows this, they were too light for the black folk, but they were too dark for the white folk. And they struggled. And they kept trying to figure out
we're actually for the gray area, we're actually trying to solicit biracial people to talk about their experience of growing up in a biracial environment or what have you. So yeah, I think that certainly that would be a fascinating discussion. I would love to hear from real people in terms of how that interaction was, in terms of how they're how they've been able to navigate life. But I always saw that with that show, it was always Anthony Edwards, always still trying to school the wife on what it meant to be black.
Oh,
it's like she always was kind of like on the fence about a certain issue or whatever, and he kind of had to remind her that, look, I know your parents tried to shield you from certain things or whatever, but the realities are, and she always said like she never wanted their kids to experience certain things. But he had to always kind of remind her, it's like, look, this is the reality that they're going into. And so, you can't hide that from them. But she was always, conflicted in the show. So it's good that they went back and did a show Mixes to kind of show some of that, where that came from. Because it was always like, she was always the one at the end to, always kind of be hesitant about something. And he would say, no, this is, this is who we are.
They have to understand this. They need to see this and face this, because, and ironically, what most people didn't realize, some of the flashbacks that you saw on Blackish led to the establishment of Mixed Dish, because they used the same actors.
Yeah,
The actors that they were using in the flashbacks, they used in the series as well. And I remember the part in Blackish when Bo sees her father. He's played by Bo Bridges. And she asked him, when am I? And he said it himself with zero hesitation, you're black. You are a strong, beautiful black woman. You are black. And hearing that and for her to hear that from a white man was kind of like a shock. But he understood the reality.
Mm.
And he gave her that assurance. And sometimes and let's be honest, you have some individuals who come from biracial backgrounds, they never get that. They never get that. And they always struggled with their identity. Where do I fit in? Who do I associate with? So on and so forth.
Right.
But that episode when Bo saw her father and he told her, it made a lot more sense. And instead of her running from it or trying to make it more than what it is, she learned to accept it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing I've always liked about Blackish is it had ways to explain things that, Paul, you and I have seen with our family, with our friends, with our peers, issues that we can understand about.
Mm-hmm.
And we have ways of talking about it. And that was one of the reasons why I enjoyed Blackish. Because
another good one I thought it was what I just had, My Wife and Kids.
Yeah, that was a good show. That was good. Yeah, I like that.
Damon Wayne?
Damon Wayans.
Yeah.
Damon Wayans. Yeah, that was a good one too.
To be honest with
you. Yeah.
And he hasn't done more. I'm surprised he hasn't done more. To be honest with you guys.
Yeah.
But let's welcome Brax on the stage. What's up, Brax?
Braxton.
Yeah, helps if you hit a mute button, buddy.
Hey, Braxton, can you hear us?
I think he's having a hard time in the stream because can you hear us?
I think he lost connection.
Hey, Braxton, try logging out and coming back in. All right.
Yeah, he got kicked out for some reason. All right, let's just continue with the show for now, at least. So there are a lot of very, very good shows that we liked, but people question it. Like when I was younger at the time, I liked oh man, what was it called? Seven Heaven. I liked it, but as I got older, I was like, it wasn't as good as I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
I think for a certain demographic, for individuals, not just of a certain demographic, I think individuals of the religious background, I think Paul might be able to answer it a lot better than I could. There were people that could relate to a good amount of the stories involved, but it kind of fell out of favor with some people because the lead actor, I forgot his name, allegedly was involved in certain things.
Yeah, I remember.
I think the last couple of seasons he wasn't on there for that reason.
Exactly, and that's what led to, and basically that's how the ratings, significantly, started to drop, and they lost sponsors too because of the controversy.
Right,
and eventually it did lead to the canceling of the show. I think they delete his character near the end.
Yeah, I didn't watch it a lot to know. I didn't know about the Collins, I think was the actor's name, because he was also in Star Trek. He was Commander Decker in Star Trek,
That's
the motion
right.
picture.
That's right.
And
was he really?
Yeah, Commander Decker. Yeah.
And he was also in that one series that was on ABC, only last one season, No Ordinary Family. He was the head of that one. Michael Chiklis was on it. He was it was sometime after he did The Commish, and I think it was something he did, I think either before or after The Shield. And he was only on, and I think that show was only on for one season, if I remember.
According to his Google search, he's listed as American formal actor. The last thing I remember him have a small scene, I guess you want to call it a cameo or whatever you want to call it, was in Blood Diamonds. They were trying to pass a bill about not buying blood diamonds, all this stuff, and he was the guy who was playing the senator at the time, and that's it. That's all I can remember from him in a recent memory.
Wow.
And I don't remember anything else come out after that. After a while.
How long ago did Blood Diamonds come out? What year was that?
I'll tell you right now. You guys keep going until I find that really fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
But,
When we started the show, I said probably the most, probably one of the most important shows. It wasn't in my top 5, but I put it in my top 10. But it's probably the most influential show, I would say, was Roseanne.
oh wow.
Because that show is the only show that I can remember that showed like a lower middle class white family,
Exactly.
which is the bulk of the country,
Exactly.
in that like West Virginia, all these kind of places, Pennsylvania, all these places where you think that,
Oh,
because
and
up to that point, all the families were like these sort of upper middle class type, Charles in Charge, or family family ties, or growing pains. These were all kind of upper
middle
crusted
class
type of upper middle class families.
with the
And so Roseanne, they kept it real. This is like, I don't even want to use it like trailer park. I don't want to use that derogatory like that, but this is kind of like, yeah. And if you look now, even politically, like, all the Trump supporters, that's them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's that's their reality for
Excuse me 1 second, Paul. So Blood Diamonds came out in 06.
Wow, 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh wow.
And that's the last thing I remember him doing. I'm not saying it was the last movie that he made or anything like that,
Right.
but that's all I can remember. According to here, he was actually in a voice acting Avengers Assemble as one episode in 2014.
Okay.
Evolution in 2013 for 2013 to 2014 for 22 episodes. But he has done a lot of work the last several
What
years.
show was that again?
Revolutionary.
Oh, Revolution. Okay, I remember that series.
Yeah. So
I
he
remember.
has done a lot of work.
He's persona non grata within the
Yeah. Once you get that label on, it's hard to come back from it.
It's once you're in a situation like that, no one wants to work with you.
Yeah.
Remember the guy who did House of Cards?
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, exactly. He was an upcoming actor, because if you remember, how after House of Cards came out, he got wrote off, he got assassinated or something in the story.
Yeah.
But also around the same time, he also played in Call of Duty.
That's right. He did do a voiceover for that.
Not only a voice, they actually use his real face in Call of Duty.
Right. They did scan his face for one of the characters in that.
He was the main character. He was a villain in it.
It
wasn't a scan. It was legit him. He was playing not like him, like whatever his name.
I get it. Right.
Yeah. So right after that, all this shit came out about his X, Y, and Z. I don't want to say out loud,
right?
Because YouTube's policy.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it was around. He did voiceover around 2014. About around that time, shit hit the fan fast for the poor guy.
And the
I'm not saying poor guy like he didn't do it. He's wrong what he did. Poor guy meaning like you messed up, buddy. But demons came out of the closet, but it came out at the wrong time. This came out way before this happened.
Right. And the thing was, when he was doing House of Cards, that's around the time when Netflix started doing original series.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the main. It was him and Robin Wright, like the main draw.
Yeah.
And I watched House of Cards. Yo, that show.
It's a sick show.
Wow. That show literally. And some people I know, like there's some people I know who have connections to politics and people within government. And they said that's like one of the most realistic shows that gives at least a very clear understanding of some of the things that goes on. Most people don't know that goes on in politics.
One thing I do know, and I can say confidently, when I visit years ago back, about around this time when this show came out, I was actually, on vacation in DC, and I was having lunch in a Chinese place. Look up at my buddies, and obviously, you know me, Anton. I like embarrassing people usually.
Yeah. I get you.
And I realized he was a politician, so I called his shit out right from there. And
Wow.
we had actually a very nice conversation. But one thing I did leave that conversation, I don't want to put the guy's information out there. I'm going to keep
Understood.
that private for him.
Understood.
And he said to me, most deals are made by a handshake. He goes to me like this, just like this. And the other half of it, and I literally almost fell on my chair. He goes, the other half of it is related with sex. He goes to me.
Wow, I could believe that.
And you say you know someone in politics. Do you think that's accurate? What I'm saying to you?
Mm-hmm.
Think about the show. How much sex was involved in it.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
On not only on him cheating on her and blackmailing the poor girl, also on her, sleeping with everybody else. It was like both of them were like one will open their legs, one was putting it in them.
Mhm.
So that's how they got ahead really fast.
It was when I
It
watched
was a good show. I got Kevin Grant. It was a good show.
Yeah,
The
good
last
show.
season wasn't that good because of Kevin Spacey not in it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, ironically, I think that was the writing on the wall when they did when they were doing the fourth season. It was like we're probably not going to come back, so we're going to try to put as much as we can out there and just go out with a bang. And that's what they
I
did.
agree.
That's what they did. But that was very, very, because when you see other political shows, okay, Commander in Chief, The West Wing, you see all these other political shows that we've watched. Like, of course, they're on network TV, so there's some things they can say and show, and there's some things they couldn't say and show. But House of Cards and the fact they had the flexibility of being on Netflix, it was streaming. They were willing to show it. They were willing to just say, you know what? Here it is, folks. This is what goes on. Here are the things that you probably heard about. Yeah, they're true. Or here's some of the things that you probably never knew that went on. And I think that was the reason why the show did a lot better than expected, because they had that freedom. They had that freedom to be as gritty and as realistic and as raw as possible. And credit to the writers, credit to the cast. I mean, show was just like, it was unapologetic. It was totally unapologetic. So shout out.
Yeah,
That's what.
yeah. So I'm getting an echo from somebody. I don't know who it is coming from. All right, Greg, your mic.
Brixton, you're mute.
He was mute now. He's unmuted. Brixton was.
No, I'm muted.
On, man?
How about now?
No, it's gone.
Okay.
So it was there for a minute.
Braxton,
what's going on, man?
Braxton, you're on mute.
You're back on mute again.
I heard something.
There you go.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I'm trying to turn on my camera as soon as I position my phone correctly.
Okay.
So
we don't want to see.
You got anything on this tonight?
Yeah, I got plenty to say. Just trying to find the right words to say. But
spit it out, my man. That's the best way you can do it on this kind of topic.
Well, first thingy is what's his first top 5 TV shows, family ones, and top 10. That's what you should have said.
Okay.
You don't want to put that to me and everyone else.
Fair point.
Sorry, Pete.
Very good. I missed it. Hey, I'm not perfect. Nowhere near it.
All right, Braxton, what's your list?
Top 5 or top 10?
Okay. All right, top 5s. All right, I'll start with some of my top 5s and some of my top 10s. Yeah, but now I know you titled it, Family Show, and yes, and all the shows both old and new. Now, yes, these are our family shows, but at a point you got to break it down by both culture and color, as I said down in the chat, and there's nothing negative about it. It's just cultural differences between the colors. It's all. Yes, there are similarities. So yes, there are some similarities because just as much you have to know about the similarities, you have to know about the differences too. Now, Okay, now some of my favorite top fives. Okay, for my top five, I mix up the color culture related shows, and for my top 10, I think I do the same. Okay, now for my top five, I would say my favorites are Amen. Let me see, Amen, Mama's Family,
Mm.
Married with Children.
Wow.
He wasn't even born yet.
No.
Hey, you can't
He's an
knock him
old
off
soul,
the face,
man.
bro.
Yeah,
Old soul.
he is. All right, continue, Braxton. We're not trying to disrespect you. Just continue. You left off at Married with Children.
Oh, think we lost him.
I think we lost him again. Yeah,
My bad.
but you know what? No, you're good, Paul.
See,
It's
personally, sorry.
no. If back in the day, Paul, if you remember, like what I kind of grew up on, and you probably caught it too, or at some point because you're a night owl like me, is Nick and Night. A lot of this stuff was on Nick and Night.
That's right.
You know, Family Ties, I've Loved Lucy, Wonder Years, all this stuff was
Yeah.
on Nick at Night.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. But see, most of those I saw in prime time though. Like the Nick at Night stuff that I remember were like the really old shows, the black and white shows, the Dick Van Dyke Show, or
Oh, my
you know,
three
shows like that. Yeah, back then, on Nick at Night. I never recall seeing Family Matters or whatnot on Nick at Night, or I wasn't watching Nick at Night at the time. But I thought they used to do a lot of the old
Mhm.
comedy shows or family sitcom shows from back in the day. So that's why I'm
originally started. I remember when Nick at Night originally started. It was a lot of shows from the 50s and 60s.
yeah, Honeymooners or something like that, or you know, it was
From the
To the
50s.
moon, you to the moon.
To the
Yeah.
moon, Alice. And
Yeah.
then later on, you start seeing shows from the 80s, and then a few shows from the 90s before they were taken off air. But that was basically what it was. Nick at
Mhm.
Night, and then they later called it TV Land. Oh, I think that was no, I think TV Land was
Different network. Different network.
yeah, TV Land was Turner, and Nick
Right.
at Night was Viacom. Was
Right.
Viacom. And what those channels did was a lot of shows from the 50s to like the 70s and even the 80s were shown on those channels. So that's how people, like, when you hear about people in their 30s loving these shows that some of us grew up on, it's like, really? Okay, I'll give you credit for that.
Yeah.
You can watch these shows. Okay, I'll give you that. And the real great thing about Nick at Night and TV Land, it made it easier for these shows to continue to air because people didn't realize back then the only way these shows were going to be seen as reruns
Yeah.
in syndication. And that's how some of the actors and actresses that worked on these shows, that's how they were still able to get money from the royalties of these shows being on. Having certain networks that did reruns, that was a big deal back then. And it worked for a period of time. What TV Land and Nick at Night did is it brought those shows into one or two centralized locations to where, yeah, we're going to air these shows from beginning to end. We're going to have them on this network. So it was at least in a place where it made it a little bit easier for some of those celebrities who worked on those shows to still get some type of royalties. That was like one of the best.
Really fast, Rax. Not sure what's going on, but try to hit me up on the side. All my information is in the link, so hit me up in the channel prescription. Me and you can work on it on the side to figure out what's going on that. That's weird. You're having issues looking because the restream doesn't have issues like that usually.
No, usually they don't.
Yeah. So we had one issue about it ever since the stream's been working fine, and I'm allowed up to 10 guests on my prescription, so I know it's not bad. So,
okay. Well, I'll give you my top. I'll give you my top 10. Family shows top 10. Well, I'll give you 3 right now without a problem. Cosby Show, Who's the Boss, Growing Pains. Those are my 3 right there. Family Matters, Full House. What else? Blackish. What else can I put there? That's my 5 right there. Other shows from back in the day: All in the Family, The Jeffersons. One show that it didn't seem like a family show. It was a family show to me. The Sopranos.
Oh, yeah, it was a family show. That's what I was asking. Are you talking about family dramas? Or you talking about sitcoms? Are we limited to there? Because if you're going to open up to the dramas and stuff, then yeah, you could put that in there. You could put
that's a hard one to say because they're all enjoyable in their own way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like for example, Family Matter had drama and comedy too.
Right. It was mainly a comedy. It did
Full
have
House.
drama.
but it was comedy every time because every show,
Where
which was
Urkel
most
is
has
a
Steve
funny
Urkel on it.
person.
Like,
Yeah.
right.
So it was even if it was like a serious subject, he always tended to break it up unless he wasn't on the show at all, which I don't recall too many shows where he wasn't on, or at least he didn't have a
So
bit on the
the
show.
beginning, I can't remember. It was 1 or 2 seasons, maybe 2 tops. I'm thinking 3. I'm gonna really push it. He wasn't on. He was more like a throwing in there like a 1 or 2 time thing, but he
Right.
got picked up so well with the audience. They said, "Yo, let's."
It was the Jimmy Walker effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
he became, and
that's
that's
what
the
it was.
reason why John Amos left, because it was sent on a family, and then JJ became such a big part of the show, and people tuned in because of that. It took away from, in his view anyway,
the
it
seriousness.
took away from the seriousness of the show. So, but that's what happens when you have a comedian that comes on and he just becomes the center of the show. Yeah, I mean, they're like, these guys watch the ratings and everything else, and they realized that they were the reason they wanted to have more of them because people couldn't get enough of them.
I think, yeah, exactly. One thing I can honestly say, one show, The Cosby Show, was that standard bearer because it was one of the first shows where you had a black family where both parents were making a significant amount of money, well educated, and they lived basically in a very nice area. They lived in a brownstone in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Which show
And
was this again?
The Cosby Show.
Okay.
And when you looked at a lot of the shows that Paul and I talked about, especially in the time periods, there was always something where it was like, okay, yeah, they're doing something, but there was always something like Good Times. Yeah, they lived in the housing projects in Chicago. What's Happening? It was single mother
Watts. They were in the Watts, basically.
in LA.
Yeah.
Just after the riots too.
Mhm.
What else? Let's see. I said Good Times. What's Happening? But you see where I'm going with it, right, Paul?
Yeah. A lot of the shows, even Sanford and Son or That's My Mama, it was like, basically it was a lower middle class type of shows.
Right.
Cosby Show really broke the mold, which was interesting at the time because people forget as influential and as big as that show got. I remember in college, we used to have panels on it talking about the Cosby and there was this pushback that it was unrealistic. It was like, and you had some kids who were there. They were like, "What are you talking about? That's the life I come from." It's like, my parents are come from that. So guys stepping up in the meetings and whatnot and say, "Yo, this isn't fantasy." That's why. So you mean we kind of came from all over because I think a lot of the kids when I was at Rutgers, they all came from like Newark, Orange, East Orange, all those kind of areas. They were all there because of EOF fund and all that. So they were like, the idea of they didn't think it realistic, but at the same time, it definitely, I think, galvanized and motivated people to say, look, yeah, we do need to look at, there are swaths of very successful Black people, and there have always been. Unfortunately, the country didn't always appreciate it. We all know about Tulsa, and we all know about, anytime there was a chance to build any kind of success, that you always had a pushback on it. But that being said, I think it was needed in the landscape of all the other sitcoms that came before it, and even the ones that came after it.
Right.
Yeah, you had them. You had Fresh Prince, again, another affluent family.
I was so looking for Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Thank you.
Yeah. So again, to show the whole diaspora of the Black experience. Yeah, you're gonna have the poor, you're gonna have the middle class, you're gonna have the upper class, and even the wealthy.
Right.
And so that for them to step out and show that. And again, I give credit. Forget all the stuff that happened with Bill in his personal life and everything that came after it. I mean, Bill was, again, he was a PhD already.
Mhm.
He got his PhD from Temple. He was already writing stuff and creating television that was, that focused on and encouraging people to get educated and whatnot. So so this wasn't just something he just said, "Oh, this would be a cool idea." This is what he was promoting since the 70s.
Exactly.
That he always wanted to show a different view of the Black person. And I got to give him credit even for his early stuff. What was that? What was that detective show he was in? Private Eye, or what was that?
I think it was.
What's that?
I think he did I Spy.
I Spy, yeah. To have a prominent African American show, not being a subservient, not being a butler or a janitor or something like that,
Exactly.
but a major co-star in a weekly television show. I mean,
The
so
show
he
was good.
breaking
I
ground back
cannot
then.
take that away from you, Paul. I have to say it was a good show. It wasn't my cup of tea. I liked the Jefferson better than a Cosby Show, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
And it was more mine. But I want to mention something about with the Fresh Prince. The Fresh Prince did tackle different issues, like his father for coming back in his life for the
Yeah.
was it one episode. And
Ben
I
Vereen.
mentioned this on say again.
Ben Vereen, that was the actor who was played his father.
Yeah, so I mentioned on another show we did. I can't remember which show we did. And when he was literally in tears, and he said, "Why do he doesn't love me?" And Phil, Uncle Phil hugs him. He whispers in his ear. He goes to him, "Now that's acting." And because he got so emotional, so involved in that role, he really embraced it.
James
And he felt the pain. I'm like, yeah, kid, the guy credit when it's due, man.
Yeah. No
James-
question. No
Listen,
question.
Thanks, Braxton. I forgot. I didn't mean to disrespect the Parkers. The Parkers, it had its moments too. And I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying with the Parkers and Moesha. So, I hear what you're saying. I do hear what you're saying in that aspect. But one of the things that the Cosby Show did, it showed you have black families that never. Damn, how do I put this without trying to sound,
Racist?
not every black family grew up in the projects. You didn't have
Yes.
not all black families grew up in the projects. Not all black families had government assistance, so on and so forth.
I know a lot of people who I grew up with, because growing up in New York, most of my neighbors were Latino and blacks. And some that are so respectful people. Just like I always say, give Paul credit. He's one of the most respectful and greatest person I know. He's one of my role models as my friend, like CQ is. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to blow his ego up too much. But my point is trying to get to is there is a lot of that. So one thing I want to point out, and I don't know if you guys realize this, a lot of family shows, not all of them, but a lot of them are family black oriented. If you guys realize that, and it's
Right.
not a bad thing. It's a good thing in a way.
What? Say that again. Repeat that one more time.
A lot of shows are
Mhm.
family related, are black family driven.
Yeah.
You know,
Like I said, I think there's a lot of dynamics there.
Yeah.
Which is why, again, I give that show a lot of credit, because again, that segment of the country was never shown.
It talked about the Rust Belt, the people that lived in, like you said, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia,
Yeah.
Tennessee, people that lived in areas of industry, areas where industry unfortunately shut down and left.
Yeah.
That's the thing I think people forget. these were the people that were left behind when a certain industry or industries.
Yeah, when the plant closing, the mine closing, the stuff being shipped overseas, offshoring. It's like all of those concepts. That was the first time I saw a show that was like that. All in the Family, they didn't have a ton of money, but they weren't like the Connor. I mean, they were dealing with like real, like I said, just real stuff that if people mostly focused in on it. But like I said, that's where I think a lot of the Trump base came from, was those type of people who felt they were being forgotten by,
They're being overlooked and ignored.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I understand that. And it's not only black, Spanish, whatever. George Lopez is another good show that we need to talk about.
That's true.
That
was a
was
good one,
family
yeah.
driven, Latino driven. One of the few shows that is Latino driven.
It's true.
I give him credit.
Yeah.
It was like the same thing as Roseanne and some other ones. That was a evolutionary show at the time.
Yeah.
Even he has a big head, but that doesn't the story.
Yeah.
No, but what I liked about George Lopez, he talked about a lot of the dynamics that went on within his community. Here are the things that most people don't realize. He was showing just like how the Cosby Show showed black families aren't one-dimensional. George Lopez showed that Latinos are not one-dimensional.
Correct.
Well, I mean, he did have I guess his relationship with his mom wasn't good, which I think that was almost like from his real life. Like he didn't have a good relationship with his mom. Yeah, so that was certainly something that was very real. But definitely, yeah. I mean, it was an aspect, but that was like the 90s and the early 2000s where again Latin culture was like booming, right? I mean, that was like, it's weird now because I saw George Lopez last month in concert. He was up in Newark at the NJ Pack, and
Up there.
yeah. So it's definitely, it's weird now. Well, how a lot of Latin Americans, especially just with the political stuff going on, but back then you tried to show as much the music, the TV shows, and everything. It was like it was cool to be Latin. It was cool to show that side of things. Who's the rapper?
Bad Bunny.
What's that?
Bad Bunny?
No, before him. Oh, jeez.
Oh wow.
What's the guy? He's got the skull something. He's got the skull shaver. Not red. Pitbull. Thank you. Like before them, so you had them. You had a lot of the salsa music, and you just see now, like you go to clubs. Back in the day, we used to hear house music at the clubs. Now everything is some sort of Latin mix or something.
Right.
So it's definitely, there's the cultural shift. That's why, like I said, in these last couple of years, certainly things have been a bit different. Want to bring up a couple of shows that we didn't talk about, but one of the shows that actually I had to think about it. It might have made my list if I would have gave it some more thought ahead of time. The Hughleys, because I think you mentioned My Wife and Kids.
Yes,
I like the Hughleys also. I think I might have liked the Hughleys a little bit more than My Wife and Kids for some reason, but I thought that was a pretty decent sitcom. But at the same time, one sitcom that I just could not stand watching because it just either cut too deep or was just too depressing was the House of Pain. That show just messed me up, man. It's like every time I watch, there was always some sort of drama. They tried to make it funny, the father figure. He was kind of like, he tried to be the funny guy or whatever. But that show brought me down.
Really?
Anything that Tyler Perry's influence on it or whatever, I just can't watch. I don't watch any Tyler Perry at all.
Wow.
Because it's just depressing. I'll leave Tyler Perry alone, but anything that's got his footprint on it or something close, I just back off. I can't deal with it. Yeah,
some of it is kind of heavy, but
it is.
They do have some
credit.
They do have some lighthearted moments as well. So he tries to balance it at least.
Yeah, but it's like, don't bring me down. It's like, I try to get funny. It's like, oh man, you gonna hit me with that? No, she's going back on the drugs again. No, it's like, oh, she got to go back to rehab. Oh, it's like, I just couldn't stand the emotion. I want to kind of invest in the show, but and then I'm real big on in terms of how men are portrayed on the show. I thought the father sometimes they would show him as the buffoon, and I'm just like of that ilk. Like I don't like seeing I never like seeing black men portrayed in certain ways.
Okay.
That was one reason. Like my kids get on me now because I never had to watch the Proud Family growing up, the cartoon, the Proud Family. I was like, you can't watch that show. As soon as I saw how the dad was acting in the show, it's like you guys are not allowed to watch that show. At least not when I'm around.
Okay.
So they still get on me now because of that. But I just had always in my mind like how men in particular. That's why certain shows, other shows, I didn't like watching. Like I didn't like everybody watch Everyone Loves Raymond. I hated that show.
Why?
Because Raymond was a lazy, spoiled, privileged dude. His wife did all the work. I don't see how he had a job. I mean, he was a sports reporter.
He was a sports
but he was no good at anything else.
His brother was a cop. His brother was NYPD.
And he was always jealous of Raymond. He never had anything really going on. So I never liked that show for that reason. I think there was certainly something that was, again, I don't, not to get political or anything.
Right.
But I definitely, when you talk about the TV, I'm sorry, Braston, I couldn't stand that show. It was banned. That show is today still banned in my house. But that being said, the image of the TV man, the TV dad, if you looked in the 70s and if you looked in the 80s, it was a certain way. The first time it started to go downwards was with Married with Children, but I always looked at that as kind of like a satire.
Yeah.
But if you look at a lot of the other guys, they were always played as inept. King of Queens was another one. Inept. I mean, I just got tired of seeing inept men. The whole idea. I'm not saying elevate the women, but you don't have to bring the man down and make him a buffoon at the same time.
In other words, you gotta have a balance in some aspects.
You gotta have. That's why I liked the Hughleys.
Right.
That's why I liked House of the Damon Wayans his show. I liked his because I thought that the husband wife dynamic meant something to me. Good Times, same thing. Florida and James, they were kind of on. Even though James would be a hothead, she was the stable in the family. She kept everything down. Right. But when you started to see more and more in these comedy bits, the husband, even the Cosby Show. Yes, sometimes he would be the butt of the joke, but still, he had a way of getting the people in his way he did it. He wasn't as direct as Claire. Claire would, when Claire would go off, she'd do the head switching and this, finger snap and all that kind of stuff. But Bill had another way of doing it.
Right.
He would work on that psychology to kind of get into your head a little bit. You could tell, okay, he's got a method to his madness there.
Right.
But I never liked, when you started showing these men, it's just like they wouldn't be able to tie their shoes if their wives weren't around.
Oh, shit.
I just thought that was something. Now, Marie, Raymond's mother, she was also a bit narcissistic and a monster. Yeah. So I just thought that, even Seinfeld, like I never saw any, no strong men in Seinfeld either. So it just seems like
I never liked Seinfeld.
Yeah, but that was like a weekly obsession. Like whatever day it came on, the first thing everybody wanted to talk to when he got in the office was Seinfeld. Oh, did you see Seinfeld last night? Oh, yeah. I thought all those guys were inept.
My sister loves Seinfeld, and my brother and I got into it because of her.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, so I think that's for me. And again, that's just call me woke or just my sensibilities. Like I like seeing men being men. Men being responsible, men being independent, being the heads of their families and whatnot.
I get it.
So again, shows like Family Matters. Yes, Carl would do something, but again, Carl, when he had to be tough, he would be be tough. But
No,
I like seeing men being
like,
men at the end of the day, but not being buffoons.
Right.
And so when the comedy goes that direction, that's why I jump off.
Carl was a little hothead at times, but everything I remember the one scene. And I still watch Family Matters when I have nothing on, I'm bored, I have a few minutes, I plug it in. and it was one that Urkel was going to stand up against his bully. His son didn't know he should defend him or stay out of it, and he looked at him like, "Son, this is not a yes or no answer. It's what was right in your heart." Well, and there were some really good scenes in there, and this is some people can relate, including myself. When getting pulled over for no reason because you're in a different neighborhood.
Yeah,
I cannot remember how many times I got pulled over, spray eagle on my car because I was in a different neighborhood because I had a beat up car and I'm playing rap music or metal, and it said, "Oh, this isn't the type of music in the real neighborhood." I'm like, "Fuck you!" First of all, for judging my goddamn music, because I don't judge your goddamn redneck music, so don't judge mine. Simple.
Yeah.
So next thing I know, I'm spreading on a goddamn car on the floor.
The one thing I've always been a fan of with the Cosby Show, it showed many different variances within the Black culture, and it showed very different dynamics and other things. And people forget, and I think George Lopez got it from Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby, a good amount of the episodes that you saw on the show were based on things that went on with his family. And
I was just about to mention that.
Right, correct. And George Lopez followed that same blueprint with his show. He based a significant number of he based the cast on members of his family. One of the things that I've been a fan with the Cosby Show, and the reason it's important to me, it was the episode when Theo found out he had dyslexia. His late son, Ennis, also was diagnosed with dyslexia while he was in college. And if you ever pay attention to the opening credits, his late son, Ennis, was also the education consultant for the show.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
If you look at the opening credits, you'll see education consultant William E. Cosby, PhD. That's his late son, Ennis. He found out he had dyslexia when he was in college. Of course, worked towards it, overcame it, got his degree in education and everything else. So the episodes where you saw the arc where Theo was already diagnosed and he was working at the community center, that's where Ennis was playing. That's where things that associated with Ennis came out when Michael Jamal Warner was doing that arc of the series. The reason why I always felt that episode important to me, because I struggled in school.
Same here.
And that was the first time I've ever heard the term, was from that episode. And then later on in time, I decided to pursue it. And I'm glad I watched that episode because it helped me pursue to motivate myself to while I was struggling with school.
Let me ask you a question. Frasier, did you guys even watch that show?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did.
It was,
that was weird because I remember Frasier. He was on Cheers, right? So again, a very upperclasstic Boston, as bougie as it got. And then you had the spinoff so it's a spinoff of Cheers. And again, you saw, I guess, even for all that bouginess, you saw the ineptitude. Like the father was like the same guy in the house. And it was weird too. How did you have this blue collar cop? How did you raise such bougie kids? Like it never. That was a head scratch. It had to be the mom, I guess, who
it was the mom
encouraged them to be educated or whatever or something. But yeah, it showed that him and Niles, they were bumbling more so than anything else.
Yeah.
But again, the image that they portrayed to the world is that they were so upper class, and they hung out at these boutique tea shops and stuff, and they just did all this stuff, but they really weren't that smart outside of their professions or whatnot. And there's an argument to be made how much real help they were really giving the people. I know Frasier had the help show, the radio show that he had.
Yeah.
And I think he had a practice, but it's weird because it's like apparently you don't even follow what your practice is, because you constantly found yourself in issue all the time. But everybody on the show, his ex-wife Lily, I mean, she was a mess on the show. The only one that was sane, again, the father, and then the British lady.
Daphne.
who now Daphne, who wound up marrying her, she was like the same one in the show. So it's amazing. It took somebody who was more grounded and rooted in reality to get Niles right, and his wife Lilith. Well, I mean, not Lilith. Who was Niles' wife in the show? Well, Maris. A mess. I'm like, these are like, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't go to those people for any help or financial or psychological advice at all. So I'm saying, but it took this commoner, right? This blue collar maid helper lady to let Niles know that yes, you're a human being. At the end of the day.
Well, it was also an example of how you could be so smart, you're also stupid.
Exactly.
That's basically
Too smart for your own good. Yeah.
I personally did not like the show. I watched it here and there. It wasn't my cup of tea. The other one that I didn't like either, Cheers. Maybe I was too young for it for the time.
Really? Oh.
I never went back and see anytime recently, but I never got another one that came in my radar as we're talking about. It just came in my head. Wings. You guys remember that one?
Oh wow.
I remember it. I didn't watch it too often, but I do remember the
remember it. And ironically, I think Wings was also a spinoff of Cheers too. I believe so. I could be wrong, but I think it was.
I'm not 100% sure about that. I know it was a show called Taxi. It was on for a while too.
Oh wow!
Yeah. If you guys, I'm going way back. I'm sure and the funny part, the one guy was taking his driving test all over again, and he was trying to cheat. I'm like, what do I do at a yellow? Slow down. He goes, what do I do at a yellow? Slow down. Wow.
And ironically, Taxi, Nick at Night, TV Land.
Oh, this was on Nick at Night. That's what I call everything. Here's a good one Braxis mentioned, Nanny.
The Nanny?
The Nanny. Yeah, my wife loved that show.
Here, you guys are gonna hate me now. Nanny, good show. I hated that woman's voice. It was like shark. It was like squeaky. It hurt my fucking ears. Like,
now, Mr. Sheffield. Oh, Mr. Sheffield.
There's two that you might not have heard of. Have you ever heard of Keeping Up Appearances? British sitcom.
No. It's interesting because I was literally just looking it up, Craig.
There's also another one called One Foot in the Grave.
No, they never played it.
TV shows.
The only show that I was looking this up just before you start talking, Craig. The only show comedy outside of the Benny Hill show, right? Benny Hill show that was like all over. That was which again, that's another show that you can never remake today. They will never make that show ever. It's too non-PC to be played here. And we didn't even get the real ones. The ones they played here were the edited versions, and they were still too racy for today's TV. But the only other, only comedy that I remember that played here was "Are You Being Served?" I don't know if you remember that one. That was from 1972 to 1985.
No.
That was a British comedy. I didn't watch it often, but every once in a while I would watch it. But we didn't have too many British BBC shows that played regularly. You had Doctor Who, and you had the Benny Hill show. Those were like the two really big British imports to the United States that played on a regular basis every night or every weekend that you got a chance to watch. Those were like the two big ones, and then everything else was just maybe you had I think the Saint, and you also had what was the one with the spies from the 60s?
The Avengers.
Yes. Yeah, you had those, right. You had those shows, but comedies. Are You Being Served is like the only show I remember growing up that was on TV.
All right. Have you ever called AbFab Absolutely Fabulous?
No.
Oh, all right. Hang on. Let's time out for a second. Let's back up track here. So if you type it in Google, I'm going to tell you guys the Google top list and my AI top list. So on Google, Malcolm in the Middle is number one.
Really?
I don't know how. I don't know why.
Ugh, I hated that
I never
show.
watched it. So
I wasn't a fan of it either. It was stupid in my opinion. Prince of Bel-Air is in second place.
Okay.
Rise of Hope, Rising Hope is third. I never heard of that one. Soap is fourth.
God, I
Yeah.
forgot about soap.
So yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Seth Let's Flat. Seth Let's Flat. Never heard that one either. The last one is that 70s show.
I could never
Nah.
really get into it.
Now, if you
Every
go to
once in
my
a while, but
AI,
nah, I wasn't an avid watcher of it. Yeah.
if you go to my AI system, it says Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is number one, Cosby second, Full House, Family Matters, and Boy Meets World are the top all-time shows.
Wow, Boy Meets
Now
World.
it depends which if you're going to Modern Gears, Modern Family, Blackish, This Is Us, and the middle is their list.
Yeah.
Now, if you keep going down, the different categories, of course.
Right.
So
So This Is Us wasn't a comedy though. That was
which one?
like a serious. This Is Us. That was the show I was mentioning earlier. I know
Mhm.
a lot of people who watched it, but it was more like a series kind of drama type of thing, more so than a
It was
more so. Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
a,
I haven't seen it. I can't say anything about it. Now, if you want to consider anime or animation family showing, this is what I'm no surprise here is The Simpsons in number one place, and according to a lot of predictions, they are predicting the future. A lot of things.
they have.
So let's take that with a cup a grain of salt, a cup of tea, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Family Guy is in second place. The King of
Oh,
the Hill.
God.
King of the Hill reboot was actually pretty good.
Mhm.
Shout out to Mike
That
Chubb.
reboot,
That's just interesting. The Simpsons and what's the family uh the Al Bundy. I think they came out around the same time.
Man, we're showing
It's like
that.
when Fox. This is when Fox, I think, became like a network.
Yeah.
Like Fox was like a local affiliate, but then they became a network, and it was like the two shows that they kind of led with.
Yeah.
It was like In Living Color.
Yep.
You had like I said, the Simpsons and then the family
Man with Children. Yeah.
Married with Children. Yeah. So those were like the kind of the staple shows that they launched the network with.
Yeah.
And all of them were successful with different audiences or what have you. But yeah, you can almost people point that back to that time and say that was when American TV changed.
Well,
For the worse or for the better, I don't know. But they went
I
totally
do want to
against the
read
grain.
these two categories really fast. The first one, it says it's more reality, but not as well. Category is called Malcolm in the Middle. Everyone Hates Chris. Roseanne. So, Malcolm in the Middle, I don't put that in that list at all.
I never
but I
watched
will
it.
add
Hell no.
Everyone Hates Chris. Yeah, I can add that.
I like that. That was
Yeah.
based on Chris Rock's stand up and how he grew up as well.
Yeah.
Well, you don't like that one, Greg?
I don't like Malcolm in the Middle. It's a bit too corny for me.
Uh
I agree with that.
I'm
But,
looking at Braxton.
Everyone Hates Chris. That was a funny one. You
was
guys give me
never
credit.
saw it.
I didn't.
Never heard of
I didn't like the father that much in that one.
Terry Crews?
Again, like I said, I don't like buffoons, and I thought he was a bit too buffoonish in that one. Like I said, if it wasn't for his wife, he would be, he wouldn't know how to tie his shoes. So again, I'm real big on that. Like have the father have some sense. And it's like all the teaching, all the moral lessons or whatever always came from the mom. The dad, he was always trying to make a buck any way he could. You certainly give him credit for being a hard worker, but it's not like he imparted a lot of wisdom to his kids. So that's again, that's a thing. That's a thing with me. Like fatherhood, I take that very seriously. And so when you have these fatherly figures who are, below that, then that's a strike for me. So yeah, I couldn't get past that with Everybody Hates Chris. Yeah, and if that was his father growing up, then that's pretty sad.
Yeah. So I'm gonna read two more categories. Underrated: Seven Heaven, The Wonder Years,
Yes.
and Parenthood.
Yes.
Parenthood I did not see, but Seven Heaven and The Wonder Years. Seven Heaven, I'm like on the fence of the because it was like pushing a lot of religious factors, and I have nothing against that. But I'm talking about as not as a fan of the show, but as a person who needs to judge something, like all of us does.
Right.
If not everybody's going to believe the same thing that I do, or something that Paul does, or you, or anybody. So I can't see where some people kind of got turned off on that.
Yeah.
The Wonder Years. Okay, I'll give them credit. And this is the last character I want to read off is Real Debates. The older shows is better. Is one is called. No, I'm sorry. It's I apologize. I read the wrong thing. The Modern Family is the most debatable show on TV, and next second place is French Prince. I didn't watch too much Modern Family to say yeah is debatable, but the French Prince I can kind of see why people feel it was a very debatable show at times.
Hmm.
The original I'm talking about, not the remake.
Yeah, there's a difference. You have Fresh Prince and you have Bel-Air.
Yes, that's two different shows.
Totally different.
Bel-Air wasn't a bad show, dude.
No, Bel-Air was.
That wasn't so much a comedy, was it? Or was it more?
Bel-Air was awesome.
It was nowhere near a comedy.
Right.
It was, imagine if Fresh Prince was a drama. That's the best way I can describe it. If Fresh Prince was a drama, that was Bel-Air. Because they got gritty. They got gritty and they were not afraid to put it out there.
Dude, it was a scene there, Paul, when Will Smith, not the actor, the character, meets his real father. His real father's a thug. He's from the streets. You know, everything negative you think about somebody, that's his father who played in it. And the first time they met at his uncle's house. They went hands on. They were about to fight each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because he made a comment about his mother, and he goes, "Yo, don't talk about my mom like that, man." And next thing you know, whoop, they swung, and you know the butler runs in. The butler wasn't like Jeffrey. What you remember, Jeffrey was a hitman. End of the day, so not literally a hitman, but he was built like a hitman.
Yeah.
So
that butler was nuts.
Yeah.
That butler was absolutely crazy.
I'm looking at this list. Yeah, I found Wings. I found Wings. Wings was Wings was a spinoff of Cheers.
So Cheers has a lot of spinoffs. In other words,
it was Cheers. I mean, one spinoff was, of course, Wings, Frasier, and another spinoff people forgot about, the Tortellis.
I don't remember that one at all.
That was based on Carla's family, Rhea Perlman. Her character Carla, it was based on her family. It only lasted a season, I think.
Right.
But yeah, and I'm looking at the list that Braxton posted. EastEnders, I'm a big fan of EastEnders.
Never saw them.
See,
what was
Dexter,
it about?
I didn't like. I watched 1 or 2 episodes and I couldn't get into it, to be honest with you guys.
EastEnders is
Dexter. Yeah.
Oh, Dexter.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, the original or the updated stuff, like New Blood and everything?
In general, I didn't like it at all.
Oh wow, no. Like my wife and I could watch Dexter. And then when you watch something like now they have like New Blood where like he leaves Miami and he's doing something else. And then there's another one. I think it was that, or I think New Blood is how Dexter got started. And it talks about how he was adopted by his family and how he later became, worked in the crime lab for the Miami PD, and how he literally got started with the other things. How his father helped him take his anger and rage and direct it towards his art. Basically, in other words, he was kind of sloppy in the beginning. What we saw in the original series of Dexter, you see how prolific he is. New Blood talks about how he got started, how he still makes some mistakes, and how he was learning to get better on the fly. So it takes place about, I think if I remember, the younger version takes place back in, I think, the early to mid 90s. So you kind of get the idea like, so this is how Dexter got started. This is how he got better. This is how he picked his targets. And this is how he's able to get away with it too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also looking at what other list. There was one show I remember Braxton mentioned in the chat that I think people forgot. He mentioned My Two Dads.
You know what show was kind of funny, and I caught it afterwards.
What's that?
The first half was good, and then they got cheesy when they replaced the actor. And it's not a family show, from nowhere near a family show, but it was funny. That's why I want to mention it. 2.5 Men.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
It was
Charlie Sheen was in it, it was hilarious.
I mean,
When they replaced him for, I can't remember his name, actor off
Ashton
my head right
Kutcher.
now.
Ashton
Ashton Kutcher is a
Kutcher.
good actor. Don't get me wrong; he's
Yeah.
a very good actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a role for him
Yeah.
because when I think it left a lot of places a sour taste in people's mouths. Like,
Yeah.
yo, we want him back. And
Yeah.
with towards the after the last season, towards the end of last season, they brought him back, and it was never the same, of course.
Well, I think Charlie was having his drug issues, but that's when he came out. The whole winning meme that was out there for saw that interview that he had.
He
I
was
think
having a lot of drug issues, and
he was, yeah. That's what I'm saying. So, but again, that's a depressing show. Like if you take the comedy out of it, I mean, you got Charlie, who's Charlie, and you got the brother, who's again, he's another one, right? He's supposed to be some psychologist, something like that.
He's trying
Failed marriage. The mom was awful. The mom was totally neglected those kids, and you could clearly see how they kind of turned out or whatever. So yeah, I mean, just the whole dynamic of the show was just like, man, this is how not to parent your kids. That you could have rebranded the show and named it that. How not to parent if you're going to turn out kids like that. But the mom, I couldn't stand that character on the I was like, my gosh. I mean, who decided to procreate with her?
The brother wasn't a therapist; he was a dentist, I think, or a foot doctor, or some shit.
Something, but he was smart. But again, clearly the guy had a lot of
I think it was
social issues, low self-esteem, whatever you want to call it. He was a broken man for most of the series.
yes.
Yeah, I can't deny that.
And so again, it's for me that's hard to take. Like I said, I don't mind having women elevated to be smart and witty and funny and successful and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But when comedy goes to the point where the man is the butt of the joke, after a while it just gets old. It gets, it just gets tedious seeing the dysfunction. And like I said, when I saw the mother and she's kind of like the reason why he's kind of that way or whatever, then it's like, ugh. So I got
and the worst part about it, she don't want to take responsibility for the things she did wrong. Like she's
she's a total, I mean,
like,
what do you call it? Narcissist or
I'm like, I'm looking at her like, lady, your sons you're the reason why your sons are the way they are.
Yeah.
And it's their fault? Wow.
And it was funny after he couldn't go back to the show because of all his stuff. He played another show. I can't remember the name of it, but it's funny because he was pretty much playing himself, but not playing himself. He never had drug issues, but he had a drinking problem, like in every show he has. He's always had alcohol in his hand.
Yeah.
And again, he had a sex issue, and he's a therapist talking about sex counseling, and he has the same goddamn problem.
Yeah.
Like, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to quit your job and you need goddamn fucking help.
Yeah. And some actors are like that. Some actors just don't give him a role. Just let him be him. We'll build a story around it, but just let him or her be themselves.
Yes.
And just kind of let it spin. Like Red Fox. Red Fox was him. Like Sanford and Son, that was him. Like it was like, we're not gonna try to, corral him in. We're just gonna let him go. Just keep it PG. That's all we ask.
Yes.
Because if you ever watch a Red Fox or listen to a Red Fox comedy back in the day, some of the raunchiest comedy you will ever listen to or watch back in the day. His stuff was definitely after. His main show was the after hours show for most other comedians. That's how raw his stuff was back then.
Wow.
So yeah, but I like I said, I looked at like Braxton, just like everyone here, he's running Marie, the mom. I mean, again, the fact that not only did she have showed favoritism towards Raymond and spoiled him the way she did, the brother was resentful of that.
Robert was resentful, and mind you, he's tall. He's tall. He has that voice, and his character is a cop. And you're just like this? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's cops and there's cops. I mean, cops is almost like, he's almost like a desk, I can't see this guy in a firefight or something like that, or really wrestling people. But I'm just saying, but it just, again, that's something I'm very sensitive to. Maybe because of my mom and her experience. Mothers have a huge role in terms of how their sons come out.
That's
All right,
And when you
really
see
fast.
these, yeah.
I'm sorry, Paul. Go finish. I'm sorry. I got you.
And so when you see these characters and seeing how their mothers are, George Lopez, same thing. I mean, his mom was again, took no responsibility for nothing. And George, he almost had to kind of make himself the fact that he was able to marry the woman he did and have the family that he never had. It's almost like you like salute to him because he was able to kind of come out of that. But his mom was still, you could tell,
so
even in their interactions, it was always a thing, And then I was just waiting for the day where he's like, Mom, I don't want you in my life anymore, or something like that, or bounce, because she was just hard to deal with.
right.
Before we go into final thoughts, Charlie Sheen's show after Two and a Half Men, during that break before he went back, was called Anger Management. And it says
that's
here it projects his life after Two and a Half Men because he had all his issues going on in his real life. So he played a therapist, sex addict. That makes a lot of fucking
Anger
sense.
Management. Oh my goodness,
Man.
Yeah, it didn't ran long, but it was a pretty decent
it
show.
was wild. It was wild because if I remember, Anger Management, it has nothing to do with this other show I'm about to mention, but it kind of gave you the idea of how to do the show. Arrested Development. Just
Yeah, I can see that.
it just, you know what? Let's just find a way to, let's just find a way to make it work. Or it's almost like it was, okay, guys, here's the basis, run with it. Like almost everything it felt like everything was ad lib, but it found a way to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to mention this before we get to the final thoughts. I think two shows that weren't mentioned, and you could say they were family shows, even though it kind of changes the dynamic of family shows. Kate and Allie and My Two Dads.
Can I add an extra to that?
Go for
Okay, get it.
2.5 Men.
We just mentioned that.
Yeah, we're talking about that last time.
But I hear what he's saying. It changed the dynamic. It changed the dynamic of what we think of family. So I can see why Craig would say 2.5 Men.
Yeah.
But two shows I just mentioned, Kate and Allie, My Two Dads.
Yeah.
Kate and Allie, you had two women, both of them divorced, living in a home together with their kids.
Mhm.
My Two Dads, two men that are friends. Both of them dated the same woman at one point. The woman passes away. She has a daughter, and they were left responsible to raise her.
Yeah.
And the reason why
Before we go to final thoughts, one thing I want to mention about Charlie Sheen, because he's in my head right now. His brother, Emilio Estevez,
Yeah.
no issues. Father, no issues. Mother, no issues, from my understanding. He
wait,
probably was a bad sperm count.
remember, he has another brother, Ramon,
Yes.
and a sister.
Ramon Luis Estevez, and he has no issues, from my understanding, either.
And he has a sister too.
Sister, I didn't see anything about sisters here.
He has a sister, if I remember.
Yeah, but everyone
Charlie
has
and
their own experience. Yeah.
changed their last names to Sheen.
Mhm.
Everyone else kept the because if I remember, Charlie Sheen was born Carlos Estevez.
Yes, I'm reading it right now.
And
So, Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen.
Did they change their names legally to Sheen, or they just
Martin Sheen's original name is Ramon Estevez.
Mhm.
And then he changed it to Martin Sheen. And then when Charlie and Emilio got into the business, Charlie was still Carlos Estevez, but then he followed his dad's route and changed his name to Charlie Sheen. Emilio kept his name. Their brother Ramon kept the family name. And I think there was a sister too. And if I remember, Ramon and the sister worked behind the scenes. I think they're writers or directors or producers. So that's how, and I was always trying to figure out how is it that Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen are brothers, and then I found out that Charlie Sheen was actually Carlos Estevez, and he followed his father's route, by going from Carlos Estevez to Charlie Sheen.
And
Amelia,
it's sad because Emilio Estevez hasn't done any work lately. The last thing he did was the My Ducks Game Changer 20 from 21 to 22, two
yeah,
seasons. Actually, it was 2 seasons in a show, but he only did 1 season. So
that's right. I think he did the
I
first.
think he's a good actor. But let's start getting our final thoughts. Paul, do you want to start off with our final thoughts?
Sure. One show probably worth mentioning. Again, another old show, but I think it was kind of groundbreaking at the time. Was One Day at a Time.
Oh wow,
That show again about a divorced single mom moving to another area with her two daughters to kind of start a life or whatever. I thought that show was, kind of transformational as well. I remember watching that show on a weekly on a weekly basis. So again, shout out to that show as well. But yeah, but I think a lot of these family shows, I like the ones that certainly had a positive spin on family. I certainly like the ones that showed you the full spectrum of different families. So again, I mentioned Roseanne, I mentioned Cosby Show. I mean, those are two ends of the spectrum, but show the full breadth of what America is like. We got every kind of family dynamic you can think of. And so on, I appreciate shows that are bold also in exploring themes that or might have been controversial at the time. Norman Lear, now again, he's gotten a lot of blowback over the recent years, but I certainly think that he was courageous in a lot of the topics that he covered in any of his shows, whether it be All in the Family, The Jeffersons, or Maude. I think Maude was the first show that actually one of the shows dealt with the deletion. I mean, the of babies. It that was like a revolutionary show at the time. And so, he was not afraid to take very controversial and complex topics and bring them into a comedy space. So again, Norman Lear, I think, deserves a lot of credit despite a lot of the criticism that he's gotten in recent years. But I think comedy shows, I think, give you that full spectrum that we can all certainly appreciate. So again, good show. It's good kind of going back and reminiscing over shows that you watched. You didn't, like I said, I can't bring up every show that I watched, but certainly for the shows that I mentioned and other ones that were mentioned here tonight. And again, thanks to Braxton for bringing so many shows that I didn't even think about back to bear. And again, I'm still amazed how you know all these shows. But nevertheless, though, you've certainly added value and contributions, even though you couldn't be on the live. But again, appreciate the discussion today.
all right. This was definitely a great discussion. I feel like this was a continuation of something we did some time back, and I'm glad we got a chance to do this show. Definitely shout out to Braxton for posting a good number of shows that, like Paul said, we didn't think about. So I gotta give him credit for that. And also, I think the real cool thing about the shows we talked about, excuse me, a lot of the shows talked about the traditional aspect of we would know of family. The father, the mother, and the children. And then we talked about some shows that had the extended family involved. And then, of course, we talked about some shows we did mention where the dynamics were not what was quote unquote traditional, but at the same time, it still worked as a family. A show like Who's the Boss, My Two Dads, Kate and Allie, One Day at a Time. But we also talked about shows where it still kept that dynamic, but you also had situations where one parent had to step up, like Full House. That was one of the first shows I could think of. And people will say My Three Sons, but it was one of those shows where you had a single father, trying to raise children. And that was rarely seen on television a lot. And what I like about this discussion is it shows everyone that there's so many different dynamics. Whether it was a show like Roseanne, where you have families that lived in parts of the Midwest, that lived in those industrial towns where the major industry in that town, was either offshored or they just shut down altogether. And then, of course, you have shows like the Cosby Show that shows that you have families of particular backgrounds that are well-to-do and educated. It didn't, didn't go into the stereotype back then, but it shows Not all families are, or not all of those one of this demographic is one dimensional. So you have to give credit for a lot of those shows as well. I look at it as we need more shows like this to be realistic, to be honest. And you did have those who were willing to talk about things most people were very uncomfortable to talk about. And then, of course, some of these shows also talked about things that helped parents know where to start to talk about things with their kids. And that was important. And even though some things that were never addressed back then, we're not afraid to address it now. And it's good that it gives people an idea of maybe if I don't know how to address a certain situation, maybe this will show me how to do it and where to get started. And we're not looking for everything to be perfect, but just a true reflection of what goes on in our society. And that's all I got to say. And those are some words we're thinking about. Thank you.
Greg, you're up.
I don't know what to say much because those guys kind of said everything else. Need more shows, more about families, family situations, how they're bad, how they're good. Sorry, that's all I've got. I'm sorry, Pete. Them two guys said it pretty much for me. So sorry about that.
No, do a quick schedule update and we're gonna get out of here after this. So tomorrow we're having a gray area show. Paul, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so on nonprofit organizations. And then the following week, we'll go into taxes in general.
Sounds good. And Monday we're off. We'll be back on Tuesday with love versus loyalty. Which one is truly matters? We're gonna be talking about that. We're still off for Wednesday and Thursday. Soon we'll be back on the air with those guys.
Yep.
On Monday, Friday. I apologize. Friday, I have to post it. We'll be talking about the Hall of Fame, the good, the bad, the ugly. So we have that conversation. And me and Anton are going to have the biggest debate ever, conversation ever. And I'm gonna drop a bomb on him right now too. Call of Duty, from War Game to Game Empire. So, but here's the bomb I'm gonna drop on you.
What's that?
It's been reported and confirmed that Call of Duty is greenlighted to make their movie in 2027. And the name of the movie is going to be called Call of Duty. That's it. And this is going to be about the same time, 6 months between the reboot of the whole franchise, because they're rebooting the whole franchise, and the new movie. So the new movie can come out first, then the new game, the reboot.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
There's something. Just look into it. We're gonna have like a long conversation on this one.
Because
They've been talking about making a Call of Duty game movie for years and years and years, but nothing ever greenlit it. Steven Spielberg had a script because Steven Spielberg was the first writer for the first Call of Duty game. People don't know about that.
That's right, because people forget the original Call of Duty was based on Saving Private Ryan, because the original Call of Duty was based on things that happened in World War II.
The first couple games were based off World War II games.
Yeah.
And people forget about that. So there's something I found very interesting when I found that information today. So we're definitely going to look into that in a conversation.
That's going to be really
yeah, except that, guys, as always, please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. It really helps us, the channel, and us pushing on more stuff out. And if without doing that, what are you doing over there? Without the likes and share and the watch hours, we cannot be doing what we do. Make sure you watch other shows we've done. New shows are coming up. Check the playlist out. I have about 6 months posted, so hit the notification button to know we're live. It helps us out. Except that I'm the Spartan. He is the he is the president. My man Anton, my UK brother. As always, stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.